we're keeping it real. We pre-taped this because we wanted you guys to have an extra show on, actually 2 extra shows on Thanksgiving and Black Friday. So by the time you watch this, some of these people might have already been fired.
Seriously,
okay.
Yeah.
So, but we were recently talking about how Trump might throw Pompeo under the bus.
Yeah.
I mean, that bus is like, wobbly because of how many people are underneath it. In this one, we're gonna talk about Pence.
Yeah, I mean, look, Trump wants everyone to be loyal to him, but he's not loyal to anyone. And during the impeachment investigation, when various officials come up, he talks about throwing them under the bus. Pence is one of them, and he essentially says, like, look, if I'm going down, I'm gonna make sure I take Pence with me. Watch.
Drums.
There's a split between the president's aides and the vice president's aides, and that is always a sign of impending disaster.
That's Joe Lockhart, who worked in Bill Clinton's administration, and he has noticed something that has actually become quite obvious. There is a growing rift between Donald Trump and his own vice president, Mike Pence, as a result of this impeachment inquiry. Now, how much did Vice President Mike Pence know about the phone call with Donald Trump? You have Donald Trump's aide saying, oh, Pence knew everything. And then at the same time, you have Pence's aide saying, well, no, maybe he didn't know anything at all. We don't know. It seems like he's been left in the dark about all of this.
Yeah.
So before I give you the details on that, and it's an excellent detailed report in the Washington Post, I want to give you a little more of what Joe Lockhart had to say. Take a look.
It's a bit of a circular firing squad right now at the White House as people try to position their principles and settle some scores in the process.
Look, I might get struck by lightning for suggesting there's some grand strategy here, but if you look at the big picture, there are those who suggest that the White House, the president's team, is bringing up the word Mike Pence, or the words, I suppose, Mike Pence, because what they're doing is sending the message, everyone's involved here. If you come after me, it's everyone who's going down. So take this seriously.
Yeah, I think the Pence people, tried to put out a line that, insulated him, and the Trump White House sent a message saying, if I'm going down, you're coming down with me. There's only one story coming out of this White House, and it's not one that protects you. It goes to the White House strategy, though. I mean, look at what Trump and the team did when Mitt Romney came out and said he was troubled by this. They put out a video that was designed to embarrass him. That wasn't a message to Romney. It was a message to the other 52 senators in the Senate saying, if you say something negative about us, we will come after you with all of the might of the $300 million we have in the bank at the campaign and the pulpit that we have here at the White House.
So I think Lockhart is 100% right. And this is just my perception of this. I don't believe that Mike Pence was just completely unaware and just like this dopey guy who didn't know what was really going on. Again, that is my speculation, but let me give you the details from the Washington Post report. Before I do so though, Cenk, do you want to jump in?
I do. I have 4 words to say here. Tick, 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 tick. Okay, all right, listen. Their analysis actually was spot on. Pence definitely tried to skate by on this one, like, I don't know. But Trump made him a henchman, as you're about to see, so he can't skate on it. And now he's having to go all in. And of course, the president, as usual, made him walk the plank. And now he's out there defending the president so that he's just as culpable as Trump is. And if Trump thought he could get away with it by blaming Pence, like getting dirt on the Bidens, I got it. That was Mike Pence. Like, you think he wouldn't do that? He'd do that.
He'd do that, except he's now incriminated himself publicly so many times, and his whole response to this impeachment investigation is like, yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did because I want to drain the swamp. Right, so he can't blame Pence for it, but what I think Trump likes to do is drag everyone down with him.
100%, that's what I was getting at. So since there's no way that he could fully deflect to Pence, then why is he doing it? He's just saying like, no, I want everyone defending me, because if you don't, I'm gonna drag all of you down with me and make sure, because what, he cares about the Republican Party? He cares about principles? Oh, go on. He cares about his colleague, Mike Pence, his partner, the vice president. No, the only thing that Donald Trump ever cares about is Donald Trump. So if he's got to kill everybody on the way down politically within the Republican Party, he'll do it in a second. But that's eventually what's going to cost him the presidency, because enough Republican senators are going to go, this guy's going to kill us all, man, politically. So what's the point of staying with him? We haven't gotten to that ticking point yet, but tick.
All right, well, let me give you some more detail into what Trump actually had Pence do prior to us finding out about this whole whistleblower complaint. According to the Washington Post, Trump instructed Pence not to attend the inauguration of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in May, an event White House officials had pushed to put on the vice president's calendar when Ukraine's new leader was seeking recognition and support from Washington. So you have White House officials pushing Pence to do this, but at the same time, simultaneously, you have Donald Trump telling Pence, no, don't do it. It's a bad idea, don't go to the inauguration. And Pence didn't go to his inauguration. Okay, now that's relevant because it's part of Trump's ploy to make this new Ukrainian president bend to his will and essentially carry out favors for him, right? Because remember, Ukraine needs the US to assist them in this military aid. Let me give you more detail. Now, instead of traveling to Kiev as he was supposed to, Pence was supposed to, for this May 30th inauguration, Pence actually attended a Trump campaign in Jacksonville, Florida, and made an official trip to Canada later that month. Now, months later, the president used Pence to tell Zelensky that US aid was still being withheld while demanding more aggressive action on corruption. The Ukrainians probably understood action on corruption to include the investigation of former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden. So when Pence finally did meet with Zelensky, and this was on September 1st, here's what happened during that conversation. Pence told Zelensky that aid was being withheld due to corruption concerns. That's exactly what Trump wanted him to do. Pence emphasized Trump's frustration that the EU should provide more aid to Ukraine. Pence didn't mention Biden, but former officials claim Pence mentioning corruption was code for that issue, whether Pence intended it or not.
Yeah, I actually think that undersells it. So involving Pence actually implicates Trump more, not less. As usual, Trump doing more damage to himself because he's not smart enough to figure it out. Because when Trump says in the call, hey, listen, the US does a lot of things for you guys. He doesn't mention the military aid, as far as we know. We'd love to get the official transcript. Anyway, he says, but we do a lot of things for you guys. Now, I need you to do me a favor, though, and investigate Biden. But then he follows up by sending Pence to say, remember that corruption we were talking about? And in the call, Trump clearly connects corruption to Biden. And he doesn't mention any Ukrainians in the corruption. It's not like, well, you guys have this massive problem. Oh, but you know what, 11% of it is the Bidens. I'm worried about corruption overall. No, when he talks about corruption, he only mentions Biden, okay? So then he sends Pence over and says, now remember, we're not sure about the aid, and we wanted you to take action on corruption. Boom, that actually is the quid pro quo. And any prosecutor worth their salt could prove that as well. They're a team, they say they're a team, and one guy says, hey, I want you to investigate Biden, that's the corruption I'm talking about. The next guy says, remember that corruption we were talking about? That's why we're not giving you the aid. Done deal. So like if you're a Trump defender, no amount of facts or logic will matter to you. It doesn't matter. You will say on the one hand, Hunter Biden, what does he know about Ukrainian gas? What is he getting paid for that company? I know corruption when I see it. Now, it's not technically illegal, but I actually agree that it is corruption. Hunter Biden doesn't know anything about Ukrainian gas. You know why I say that? Because I'm a reasonable human being. I can assess the fact that a guy who doesn't know anything about Ukrainian gas gets $50,000 a month. Why? Because his last name is Biden, right? Now, when we ask you, hey, when Trump says investigate corruption, i.e. Biden, and then Pence says, I'm not giving you the money until you investigate corruption, everyone knows what they're talking about. The only reason you're not admitting it if you're a Trump supporter is because you're a Trump supporter. You're like, I don't care about facts. I don't care about what does my cult leader say. You know it, you know it, you know it.
And also, why is your cult leader having a very public meltdown right now? I mean, he's been having a public meltdown ever since this whistleblower complaint became public news. But here's the thing. I think an important part of this story is holding Vice President Mike Pence accountable and not allowing him to push this ridiculous narrative that he was insulated from all of this and he was completely unaware. Because, and I'm kind of burying the lead, so I'm gonna share you one of the most important parts of this story. According to the Washington Post report, his own aide and one of his top aides was listening in on that call between Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky. So the aide is Kellogg, Pence's top national security advisor, listened in on the call from the Situation Room, which was the standard practice, but did not see it as unusual or flag any concerns about it to the vice president. Now that's according to aides who spoke to the Washington Post, but here's one other thing. After that call happened, literally the day after that call happened, Pence is supposed to get a summary of the conversation. So are you telling me that he received that summary of the conversation and then proceeded to meet with Volodymyr Zelensky without reading the summary of that conversation? So the vice president didn't actually prepare for his meeting with Zelensky? I don't know, I'm just not buying it.
Yeah, I mean, if it was Trump, it would be much more plausible that he's like, oh, 5 pages. How could Trump, the man-child, ever get through 5 pages? But so it's a briefing that they gave to a couple of things here. He gets his guys on the call, as Anna told you, gets a summary of the call, and then he gets a briefing on his way to meet Zelensky that explains to him what it is that they want to accomplish with Zelensky. So they're saying the best defense Pence has is, I suck at my job. I never do any homework, just like the boss. The boss tells me don't read anything, don't study anything. So I never looked at a single paper in my life. They gave me everything I needed to know. And my assistant Kellogg's like a former general. So this like top level guy was on the call, but he didn't tell me, golly gee. And so when I was breaking Zelensky's kneecaps about the aide, I
didn't know what I was doing.
I just thought it was just random that I was withholding the aid, even though everybody was like, and Zelensky seemed apparently in that conversation distraught that the aid had still not been delivered.
Exactly.
Like, and Pence is like, oh golly gee, I don't know why. I don't know what corruption means. I haven't. And again, no one ever mentions any Ukrainian names when they talk about corruption in Ukraine. I mean, all you have to do is a little bit of work to hide your corruption. You have to say, oh my God, I'm really upset about Jim Jablowski and Joe Jablowski in Ukraine, and also Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. But really, I want you to clean up corruption. But neither Pence nor Trump do that at all. Corruption, Biden. Aid, no, I don't know, man. Oh, you want the aid? Oh, it seems like you really want the aid. I think you gotta look into corruption. Everybody on the planet knows what it is. And even the guys who say they don't, they're lying. They're pretending not to realize it's super obvious. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.